Good morning.
Hold on, I'll just sort this. Who are you?
Oh, very well.
Alright.
You know how to... You're right.
Yeah, fine.
So you know how to change your name because you're coming as hot and teal.
And presumably...
So if you go to the burger, you know, see top left, the 3 lines?
Ah, yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
And then set name and avatar, you can just go and change your name. That's Sunday.
Oh, shit. Okay, hold on.
Remember, we're being recorded.
Oh, pardon me.
I do have to remind everybody that at the start. Now remember everyone, we are being recorded. It is not for my benefit as anybody.
Is it first name or both names?
No, just the first name.
Right, I've done that. There we are. I'm legitimate now.
You're legit now. So if you want to share your screen, see that if you click on that TV just to the left of the mic,
Yeah.
you should then get three options come up. Share your screen, applications, or browser.
Or Chrome tab.
Chrome tab, that's it.
Yeah.
So go into the middle on the applications and see if that slide for Lentini is there.
There you go. Can you see that?
Yeah. So what you do is just grab that and take that straight forward, just to the left of the camera, and pin that to the wall. You just grab it with left click with your mouse and just take it forward by moving your arrows, your body, and keeping that left finger down.
Okay, sorry, I've just lost it.
No, you're all fine. There you go.
Right.
So, remember,
Where is it?
it's right in front of you.
I've just got a black screen.
Yeah, what have you done to the...
I've minimised it.
No, don't. So that's it. So just take that.
Right.
So just left click with your mouse. Don't do anything with it. You're in the PowerPoint. You want to come back into the room first.
Well, I don't minimise it, but how do I lose? Oh, right, I tell you what.
Just put it. Okay. 2 to 5. Right, that's it. Now come out of that. Leave it as it is. Don't change it. And then put it right. Come back into the gallery. So come back into the tab at the top. You're back in the room, and then left click with your mouse to grab it. So remember putting it over it, right? And then just go straight ahead. I'll come out. Go straight ahead where you're holding it and put it to the wall. Pin it to that wall. Just like you did before. Keep going. You'll be fine. Keep going.
Okay.
Keep going. It'll just, once it flashes blue, it'll take it. Keep going. Keep going, right?
Yeah.
There you go. So just then, left click, just get out, lift your finger off the mouse, and concentrate that. Now what you'll need to do is you'll need to go into that PowerPoint tab and change it.
Yeah. How do you mean change it?
Well, it's expanded. No, you've expanded it. You don't need to touch it. Just leave your PowerPoint as it was.
I have.
No, it's distorted.
Yeah, I see that.
So can you go into the tab?
What do you mean the tab? The actual PowerPoint?
Yes. Yeah,
No, yeah, I can do, but
that's it.
maybe it's because I've not got it on slideshow.
There you go, that's it. That's the one you want. And then all you would do with that is to get rid of those left-hand sliders. Do you see in the PowerPoint it says present? Top right.
Sorry, I'm right, hold on.
No, you're fine. You're okay. So just, you could put that into a slideshow and just have that slide.
Where is
See, sorry, right in PowerPoint. So if you go to slideshow, see top left.
top left, right, okay.
And just current slide, that should just show that slide and not any other.
All I'm getting if I go to top left is set name and avatar, favourite rooms, preferences, room and scene, info, new room.
Not in the gallery, you need to go back into the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry, right, okay.
No, that's fine. Right, so see that left, in the top left, one of the, just go home. Slideshow.
Oh, right, I can do slideshow down the bottom.
Alright, okay. Perfect. And that's it.
Right.
And then you talk about that, so you can put that on any of the walls.
Yeah, but I can't, all I'm seeing now is the actual slide. I can't get back out of that without escaping like that.
So you'll need to, right, so you can't put it in slideshow mode then?
No. So that disappeared again? Yeah. It has for me.
Yeah?
Oh, I'm just seeing it. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong screen.
No.
I'm just getting a black coming blue screen.
Right, so just come down the bottom and exit from the PowerPoint.
Hold on. What's happening here? Right. Let's try again.
That's it, you've got it's gone. So the easiest thing to, so are you back in the gallery again?
Yeah, but I'm just gonna, what's happened there?
That's it, it's come up in front of you. Yeah, what is it, line it black?
Yeah, I know, it's because I'm trying to,
You can't remember, Sandy, if you want to move things in the gallery, you have to be in the gallery. You're in PowerPoint, remember you need to switch?
Ah, right, okay, right. I see how to switch. Is it okay to leave it like that?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. And then just push it forward. There you go. And then you can talk to the team about it.
That's fine, right. No, I'm comfortable with that.
Cool, okay.
Yes, I'll just stop sharing. Okay.
You're still sharing.
Oh, God.
Come out of, remember you need to go to the gallery.
Yeah, when I need it, you mean?
Yeah. So remember, you're still sharing the screen.
Oh.
You need to be in the gallery and then just tap it. There you go. It's all good.
Shoot. I recognise the classroom now.
There. We're making some, I'm writing down some stuff, I need that tree taken out, it's more boring than it's worth. I think it's we need something, yeah.
Okay, good bowling alley.
That's alright. We're getting to it. Morning everyone, how is everyone?
Morning.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks. I think. So far. We'll see how this morning's technical challenge is going.
I've already failed.
No, you haven't. At all. It's just getting used to working the system. So anything that's on the screen, you need to change member out of the gallery. Then galleries. That's why it's good to have a tab at the top.
Yes, yes.
Then the... How's everybody looking so far? Snowball?
Intense.
Intense? Oh, wow, okay. What made it intense?
We have a particular marketing module. It's taught by the business school and it's quite heavy.
Okay.
So we're all grumbling about that.
What's making you grumble?
It's the delivery, to be honest. The delivery is a bit pants. So it's quite difficult to buy in if the delivery is quite poor and it's quite monotonous and it's very dry.
Yeah, I can see that. Just reminding everybody, remember this is being recorded.
Can I just say it's a worry that people might have is not just the content of what we're putting over, but you've got to inspire people, I think, when you're presenting. And was it done on online? Was it Zoom or Teams?
Yeah, it was online. It's like 100 people in a room and it's just really monotonous.
Yeah, I think I've had that where I've had to present to about 50 people online and it was a blank screen for an hour. And from the presenter's point of view, you've just got to pretend you're speaking to one person, try and make it personal. It is quite a challenge.
Yes, it is. And this is different for everybody, so yeah, it's very difficult to do that. Was there a lot of PowerPoint slides?
Yeah. Like a lot, but like bad diagrams, so you can imagine what it would be like. Like those
Stop laughing.
lovely diagrams that make no sense.
I was once sent on a financial management course, and I'm a marketeer, so marketeers don't usually stretch to financial management. And we had a particularly boring accountant who had designed the system and was very proud of it, but had no idea how to put it over to people. And after about half an hour, I said to my boss, I'm going, I can't do this, I can't stay. But she just pleaded with me to stay, but it was probably I went to the first day, but I didn't go back to the second day, because like you say, if the content is boring, it is so difficult to stay involved. This is a great start to our session here, Peter. Boring presentation.
Yes, well, it was kind of that way last week because we had a bit of technical issue getting folk in and out of the room, and ended up everybody standing about, which wasn't the best.
No.
So I can totally understand. And I was thinking in my head, how do I break this up? How do I do it? But it was a bit. But the feedback gave me that. So everybody was saying this could just have been done on Teams, which was fair enough. That's exactly what it could have been done on. Yeah. So we're going to change it up this week. So you guys are going to be far more involved and you're going to have far more to do. You see?
In a good way.
In a good way. So we do take the feedback and we do come up with hopeful solutions. What I'd like everybody to do is, can you look to your left and see the little room with the pink on it? Can you see if you can all go in that room and then come back in this room? I'll stay here. So click on the go to and then come back once you've been in. Hopefully nobody goes in the lobby.
And that just sent me to the lobby.
Did it? Okay. I think it sent everybody to the lobby.
I got in.
You got anywhere?
Yeah, it like should be something to do with the number of people trying to get in.
No, it's, would you believe it's / missing.
Okay.
Seriously.
Right.
They told me they'd fixed it. Doesn't look like it is. Okay, so let's So Eva can get in, Lee looks like she's in, did anybody else get in?
Yeah, I got in.
I'm going to write this down because you're going to be you're going to be the group that goes next door. So I've got
I
Lee,
got into
Eva, who else?
Katrina.
Katrina, okay,
Victoria.
Victoria,
Vanessa.
Joannis. Any of the guys get in?
I'm here.
Did you get in there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, did you get into that room? Sorry. Did you
No,
get
sorry, I was joined
No, that's
the...
okay. So just see the picture in the middle on your straight ahead as you're looking. Can you just click on the pink thing and see if it takes you in the room?
Over
And
here.
then just come back again. It might take you to the lobby. So I've got Lee, Eva, Katrina, Victoria, Joannis. Aaron, did you get in the room?
Yeah, again. The second time.
Okay. Right. So that's how we're going to try it. Okay, so we're going to split into two groups, and we'll try that and just see what happens. Okay. The other thing I want everybody to do today is we've developed a post-it note slightly. Okay, so it's not a post-it note as such, but it's some. So do you see the bit at the bottom where it says centre room? So when Sandy and I kind of facilitate the group and we need to think of words that you would use for the session today, if you just type them in and then press the wand rather than the aeroplane at the right hand side, it creates a post-it note.
Okay.
Right? Now what you can do with that is if you put your cursor over it, it flashes blue, and if you press the space bar, there's a little four-way arrow on the right-hand side in the middle, and you can do that and you can reduce it by keeping your finger on the mouse.
Okay.
Okay, and then all we're looking to do is we'll just put them, not pin them to the wall, but just put them close to the wall, don't attach them, and we can use them as post-its. Christina, you alright? Can you hear?
You just explain how you make them smaller again, Peter.
If you just, so if you press the space bar down,
Alright.
and then you see that little four-way arrow?
Yep.
So if you put your cursor over that and keep your left finger down, and then just move it to the left, it should reduce inside.
Oh, cool.
Okay? And then you can do it again, so if you put your cursor back over it again, you can make it small as you want.
Alright, okay.
And then if you want to get rid of it, you just put your cursor over the post-it note and it'll flash blue. Press the space bar. Press the space bar and just press the trash can and it's gone.
Oh,
Sorry, but how do you
no,
read?
it's not working.
That's cool.
Okay. Christina, can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can't. Fabulous. Okay.
How
is
do you
it
make this work?
What is it you've got to, what is it you want to work?
The trash can and the space bar at the same
So
time.
Giovannis, what you do is hold your cursor, hold your mouse over the Coolio, and it should start to flash blue,
Yeah.
right? Then press the space bar, and there should be a trash can. You maybe a
And
bit
then-
close, you might need to move back a wee bit.
I think,
Yeah.
Peter, I found that you didn't need to first click in order to hold the space bar. Like if you hover over it, yes, maybe Giovannis is like trying to click and hold the space bar at the same time, because then you can't click the buttons once it's
No,
there. So
sorry,
yeah,
okay, yeah, you can just hover over it, you can. And then you should just press the space bar, hover over Coolio, and the space bar should give you other options, Giovanni.
Yeah, it is.
And how did you create the post-it notes?
So see the bit at the bottom that says send to room? the little chat bit in the middle.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So if you put your word in there and then don't press the paper airplane at the far right, press the wand next to it, it actually creates a post-it note.
Okay, I can't seem to do this.
Right? Take it.
Okay. Yeah, work.
And then you can make it bigger or smaller by keeping the spacebar down. Don't worry, we're getting rid of these emojis. They're in my life, these emojis. So
This is not working.
there you go. You're okay. Take your time. So Giovanna's just kind of hover over the Coolio, yeah,
I am.
and then press the
It's
spacebar
flashing
down.
blue.
Keep it down. Keep the spacebar down, and there should be a trash can. You should
Yeah, I
see.
can see all of them, and then there's all these emojis and stuff.
Yeah. So if you can then hover your mouse over the trash can and click, it should disappear.
Well, do I have to keep pressing the space bar?
You've got to
Because
keep
I
the
can see
spacebar
the
down.
trash can.
Keep the spacebar
Yeah.
down, and then just click on. Use your mouse to click on the trash can. It should disappear.
I'm doing that. It's just not working.
It's okay.
I'm having the same problem as Giovanna.
Sorry?
Come back a wee bit.
I'm having the same problem as Giovanna. It's just the trash can not working.
Who's speaking? You.
Good.
What's for me there? What's not working for you? Can you try it again?
I don't know why.
If you're far too close to it, it might not see it. You need to be a bit further away. Yeah. So try it again. Because Giovanna says that not working for you.
No.
I'll just get rid of it for you here then.
'Cause, I can press the space bar. I can see all of them, like all the other options. But I can't seem to click anything. It's not working.
You need to come your side onto it. You need to be facing it.
Oh, okay.
You need to be actually facing it. With your eyes. Now try it. Don't go
My
too
eyes?
close. Yeah, you're looking at it now.
Oh man, this is gonna be funny.
Okay, it's alright.
Still. Why is it not working for me? Is it not working?
No, it's fine. Are you using a mouse? Or a
Oh
trackpad?
great, it worked. Oh,
There you go. It's okay. Don't panic. It's all good.
yeah, this
So
should
what
be a
we've got to
shortcut.
remember is that we've got, when it's in view, our eyes are view, so we've got to have the thing in front of us, because if we're looking that way and the actual post-it notes over the other side, it won't pick up, it'll pick up what's on you're looking at. So your viewpoint, your perspective is very important. And there's a life lesson.
No, we need shortcuts, honestly.
That's okay. Don't panic. It's all good. We're all learning on this. Me especially. So, okay. So everyone, we've now got everyone in. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay. If anybody can't hear me, just put it in the chat and I'll see it. Okay. Right. So everybody's in. How did everybody find the session last week, apart from it being a bit dull and boring? Riveting. That was riveting. The silence tells everything. The silence is everything. So let's just move on. Yes, okay. So last week was a learning curve for me too. So yeah, always have a backup plan. So we've got 2 backup plans today if things don't go well, but hopefully we'll not need them. So what we're going to look at today is high-performing teams and what makes them different. Okay? And what I'd like to do first of all is I want to split you into 2 groups, and Sandy's going to go with one group and just talk about what you feel high-performing teams have, or the characteristics that they have that makes them a high-performing team. And it can be in anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be in a sports team or whatever. It can be in anything that you experience. And then we'll come back together and have a little chat about it. Is that okay for everyone?
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Does everybody understand what we mean by that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Peter, do you just want to explain who I am and why I'm here, rather than I'm usually brought along by Peter because I'm a complete old school guy who, if I can work this, MD can.
So, Sandy, you'll know some of these guys because they were on our Engage one in November.
Ah, right, okay. Good to see you all again.
It's our same Trailblazers as the last time.
Oh, well, you know me then. Okay.
Yes. So they know, so for any of you, Sandy is a fantastic sales coach, mentor. Has been in sales for over 40 years. Been in management, managed many different teams. Sandy has his own business, and Sandy and I collaborate to deliver some sales and management online training. And when we get the chance, hopefully face to face, and we'll definitely be doing virtual reality. So use Sandy for all his wisdom over the next hour and a half, because I use him on a daily basis. All right.
Right, thanks, Peter. Thanks, Peter. That was the script I gave you, so thank you very much.
The money's in the post, guy. So what I'd like to do is, can we have Lee, Eva, Katrina, Victoria, Aaron, and Uni? Can you all go into the other room? So press on that pink and just go into the other room and see if that works. And the rest will stay in here.
Where's the pink, Peter?
Just to your right. Turn right.
Over there.
Turn right. Your other, yeah, you need to turn your body, you need to turn your head.
All right.
Move your head with your mouse. Move your head with your mouse. Yeah.
I think it didn't work because now I'm back in this room.
That's okay, don't worry.
Okay.
That's okay. Do you want to try and see if you can get next door?
Yeah, I'll try.
Sandy,
Am I back in with you?
Yes.
Oh.
Sandy,
Yeah,
you've gone the wrong way.
Going back as well.
It's throwing you back too, is it?
Yeah.
Who's in the other room? Sandy, just just turn your head. It's not your body you need to turn. So you're behind you. Do 180 with your head. There you go.
Ah, right.
Go left. So remember, you need to use your mouse and the key. See what happens. Did it kick you out to you?
Yeah, just get me back in here.
So who's in the other? Right. Well, I'll go at give me 2 minutes. Let me just check who's in the other room. Let's see what it does it to me. Right. Does anybody else want to have a go? Katrina, do you want to have another go and see what happens?
Right.
Let's see what happens. That looks like it's worked now. Okay. Yeah. So, Aaron, you're here. So we've got good. So what I want you to think about is what do you think are characteristics of a high performing team? And what you can do is you can put them in that chat and then bring them up as a post-it note, and we'll try and put them onto the wall so you can see.
Is it the white wall next to the tree?
Yeah, or come up to this one, Alice, so that it misses the tree. So come up to your left. My left. You up here? Where Christina's? Yeah. That's it. So if we put it on this wall here. Cool, Christine. So if you move across towards me, Christine, that'll let everybody put stuff on that wall that's just to your right. There we go. Cool. That's it. So if we don't need to pin them, if we just put them in front, we can make them small enough that everybody can see. No worries, Christine. If you're unmuted, you can just say you don't need to keep. Okay, so
Okay, I'm looking at it now. Let's see.
okay,
His work.
that's fine. Okay, we can leave openness there. That's perfect. Can everybody see that? That's fine. Just put it in front. That's perfect there. Okay, teamwork we have. Who's got communication? Could they move that over a bit?
I do, but I'm just trying to. Yeah, it's still not working again.
That's all right.
Why?
This is all. Take your time. Don't. It's fine. This is what it's all
I
about.
can't help it.
It's fine.
So I'm trying to rotate it, or you can move it.
So remember the space bar. So that's gone too big. So just pull that off the wall a bit, Victoria, and see if that works. Can you pull it off the wall and pull it back with you?
Ah, that's not mine.
Okay, okay, there we go.
Openness is my with it.
Okay,
I can't really seem to stick it on the wall.
you don't want to stick it, just put it in front. Because I don't want you to pin it because it asks for your email and things like that, and I don't want to get into GDPR. So just keep it in front. It'll look like it's hovering in space in front of the wall. So if you could make these a wee bit bigger, that's brilliant. Just so we can all see them.
Oh, I guess I'm stuck again.
There you go. That's perfect. Great. Okay. How you doing, Giovanna? Is you okay there?
Nope. I don't know where I am right now.
Okay,
I don't know what I did.
So remember to get right in front of it so that you're directly in front of it. It's easier to do it that way, right?
Okay.
And then left click with your mouse, and then it'll go the way your eyes are going. So if you want to move it to the right, then you need to move your body with it too.
Oops. Jesus Christ.
Okay. There you go.
Why? I can't even delete it.
Yeah, you can.
Iris, can you hear everything again?
What's that, Alan? Sorry.
I think Alice can't hear anything.
Alice, just refresh. Just come out and come back in. Okay.
Okay, I guess I'm stuck, but either way.
Oh, no, you're not. You're good. What one is it you've got?
The communication one. It's. I don't even know what direction it's looking in.
Okay, so let me get on it. Let me pull it back. And let me put it there. And I'll get closer to it and see if I can fiddle about with it. There we go. Let me take this. Right, I've got rid of it now, so try it again. Good, Alice, you're back in the room. Fab. If anybody has any issues like that, just do a refresh. Okay? So if you try again, do you want to have another go, Giovannis, and just type in communication so that it's right in front of you. And then just press the wee wand.
Yeah.
Okay. Now what I want you to do is just hold that left click that with your mouse, and then take it forward using the arrow keys with your body, and just your body will guide it. That's perfect. That'll do. We'll go with that.
Okay.
Cool. Then you can go back. Okay. So what we've got here is we've got lots of different things about high performing teams. Yeah. Oh, there's a good one. Whose is that? Open to criticism.
That's also mine.
Cool. Okay. So do we want to quickly talk? So do you want to talk through these? I'll let anybody go first. So we can start from the top. So who did inclusive and diversity?
That was me.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So being inclusive when it comes to including people in group works, not being discriminatory, and being diverse in hiring practices or when they're considering people for different roles.
Okay. Yep. That's good. And any more on what you mean by diverse?
Almost maybe thinking differently about how they're taking the project.
Okay. Yep. Absolutely. Anybody else got anything around inclusion and diversity? Okay. Okay. So next one, I think, is what have we got? Initiative. Who was initiative? Who said that?
That's also me.
Okay.
So yeah, basically just that you want to do things and not to kind of, I don't know, make others do your tasks.
Okay. So you want to show initiative? Is that what it is?
Yeah, of course. And then,
Yeah. No.
yeah.
No, yeah. So showing initiative and not letting others do your task. Can you explain that a wee bit more? What you mean by that?
Well, you know, if you have like a, I don't know, something like a kickoff call, and then it's obvious that things need to be done, that you can, you know, show initiative, kind of, I don't know, create a list of things that have to be done, and kind of do things.
Yeah.
And not wait for others to do them.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Thank you. Openness. Now there's one.
That's also mine.
Okay, well, we'll go to the next one. We'll give you a break for a minute. Who did motivating?
That was me.
Okay.
Just like team encouragement sort of within the team, so everyone's motivated, and especially if the end goal is clear, then it's good for people to be motivated towards that.
Yeah. What do you bear in mind? We talked last week about motivation. What would you see? How would you see that being? What would they be motivated to do? A high performing team.
Sort of achieve their end goal. Achieve their end goal rather than with you know, holidays and pay and stuff like that. The actual what the team is about, motivated to reach that goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if we look at another one in there, we've got clear responsibilities. Who was that?
That was also mine. Yeah, basically, because I think if responsibilities are not clear, it can lead to a lot of confusion, and people don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay. Yep. Absolutely. Clear responsibilities. That means everybody knows what the role they have. Another thing with having clear responsibilities is that you can then know what others' roles are, therefore the impact that they have on your role and also the impact that you have on their role. So yeah, absolutely. And that leads us into communication. So Giovanna, do you want to tell us communication? What did you mean by that?
I believe that communication is key in almost every relationship. So I believe in a workspace and in a team, it's good to have like good communication, because that way you avoid arguments, you avoid misunderstandings and everything else in between.
Absolutely. Perfect. Yeah, great. And then we'll do the open to criticism one. What was that?
Yeah, I also put that.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's basically what I mean. It's just being open to criticism, and wanting to learn and kind of improve yourself. And I think it's also quite important, you know, in combination with communication, because if you communicate with the other team members, you should be open to criticism. And yeah.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Now, if anybody wants to take a photograph of these, they can. Okay? So if you get in front of it, okay, and you can get as many as you can in the photograph. What it does is, if you go to the top of your, where there's the 5 images at the top, and the right hand one is camera, and if you click on that, now it's got you facing you, so what you do is, you press the space bar, and the left hand functionality should allow it to switch to give you the opposite view. So if you boot your camera and then press the space bar, it should give you the opposite view to what you're currently looking at. You should be looking at yourself. And then if you come back a bit, so bring the camera back with you. You might need to unclick the camera and just come back again. So get yourself, there you go. So get yourself back enough, and you can set, and then you can set the timer for 7 or 3 if you press those left or right hand. So if you press the left hand one, it'll go to 3 seconds, and you can take a picture. There you go. So Justine's taking a photo. So if you click on that photo, on the little photo, you should be then able to save that if you want. So the photo underlined, if you click on that, you should be able to then save it if you want to save that. Okay. Don't panic. But it's just a little tool you have. So you can do that with anything. So if there's anything comes up that you feel you want to record, you can take a picture. Okay. Is that good for everyone?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So is everybody okay with that? What we've talked about there? Yeah? Anybody any questions on it? No? Right, let me go and get the other crew back in the room, and then we can discuss it as a team. Sorry. Okay, so is everybody okay, guys? How was that for everybody? Has anybody any examples they want to say of what they feel would be a high-performing team? No? Nobody's any examples of seeing a high-performing team? No? Okay. Yeah. There's nobody there, they're all gone away. You all gone and got a cup of tea, have you?
Over here.
Nobody's got any examples of what they see as high performing teams. Nobody can think of any high performing team that they've ever known about or experienced or seen. No?
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, on you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the most recent I can think of is the Black Lives Matter. I think those guys really tuned up pretty well to like with the whole protest and everything, I think that was one really organized team to actually pull that off.
Yep. Okay. And what made you think they were high performing?
I mean, to rally up an entire country like the US and like get all those people on the streets, I think it was not just out of anger and frustration, but it was actually something that had been planned for quite a while. So like the mobilization of resources, people, time, and everything that actually went into that makes me believe that that is quite a high functioning team. Or maybe it's just me.
No. Everybody's things are different about high performing teams. Okay, so we're now all back in the room. How did the other group get on with high performing teams? So as you'll see, there's some things up there that the group in here talked about around high performing teams, what they felt they were. How did everybody else feel in the other room?
We had a fairly... sorry, we didn't do post-it notes. Sorry, guys, we should have done. It was rather challenging for us, I think, because... sorry, I would like the group to explain their side of it, but I'm just trying to help here. I think it was the idea of not being involved in teams as such very much. It was hard for them to think about the differentiation between a high-performing team and a low-performing team. But one of the things that came out was the fact that leaders need to be human, and often they're not.
Yeah,
any thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I think we were just speaking about the fact that more often than not, we've probably experienced poorly performing team situations. So therefore, it's easier to recall examples of that than it is to recall examples of high performing teams. But that's not to say that we couldn't list a whole bunch of characteristics of what a high performing team should be, because we know what it should be. It's just that we haven't personally had experiences of it in a work environment, a lot of us.
Right. No, that's a good point. So how you could frame that going forward is what would a team that you wanted to be either leading or involved with, what would it look like for you to be comfortable? What would it need to have? Now, you don't need to have everything, but what would be some of the things? So that's something to think about moving forward, is for high performing teams, totally get that you've not got the experiences, go, okay, I've got a blank sheet of paper in front of me. What do I feel a high performing team needs to look like and needs to have in it, characteristics wise? Yeah. And go from there. Yeah. Don't be afraid to put things up and see what happens. But you're absolutely right. If you haven't experienced it, then it is kind of difficult. But I think you do know. So that's what it's about. Because sometimes when we go in to have a team, Sandy and I have no teams there to build. So that's real life. You know, come in and build a team. Okay, that's great. But what is it? So we need to have an idea of what we think our team needs to look like. Now we'll have the basics in there, or the fundamentals, probably is a better word. But from that we'll go off depending on what it looks like, and it'll change.
Can I maybe just give an example of human leadership, if you like? I ran a sales team for quite some time, and I had an older salesperson. He messaged me and said, "Sandy, I hate your meetings. They do nothing for me. I drive all the way from Aberdeen to Edinburgh, and I dread these meetings." I mean, that's quite a shock when you're a leader. So I had a chat with him on the phone, and what he said was, he said, "You seem to spend all your time talking to the team from the Central Belt of Scotland." And when I thought about it, that was true. And what happened was we found it difficult to hang on to salespeople in the Central Belt of Scotland. But Bob up in Aberdeen covered the whole of North of Scotland, and he was just a star. He was just got on with the work he always achieved. And so I had neglected him. And so the solution we came to was that in our monthly meetings, Bob would run a 45-minute session on the topic of his choice. So it could be journey planning, it could be how to overcome challenging personalities. And the team were riveted by it. They got so much from it because A, they got somebody else talking to them, and B, Bob was absolutely delighted because he would spend hours pulling together his 45 minutes, which benefited him and benefited the team. And I think that's an example of being human. So Bob, I felt it was good from one sense that he felt he was able to say that to me, which is a very negative thing, but positives came out of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so it comes back to one thing that's up on that, up on the board to your left. What did Sandy do? Bob Initiative. What did Bob feel he wasn't being that Sandy then did? Bob was included. Bob was included in, so Sandy made him included and brought him in to the team. And that's what can happen. And we'll talk about that later on. How do you manage face-to-face teams and how do we manage remote teams? And they are different challenges. So yeah, so that's something for down the line later on in the session. Okay, what I'd like to do now is I'd like to put a video on this wall. So if everybody can turn around and look at where the wall where the desk is, I will share my screen and let's see if we can get a video. So, and let me go into it. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Right. So what I'm going to do is, as big as I can. And get out of the way. So is everybody okay to see that, yeah? Yep, okay.
This is a story of a place that I now call home. It's a story of public education and of rural communities and of what design might do to improve both. This is Bertie County, North Carolina, USA. To give you an idea of the where, so here's North Carolina, and if we zoom in, Bertie County is in the eastern part of the state. It's about 2 hours east driving time from Raleigh, and it's very flat, it's very swampy, it's mostly farmland. The entire county is home to just 20,000 people, and they're very sparsely distributed. So there's only 27 people per square mile, which comes down to about 10 people per square kilometer. Bertie County is kind of a prime example in the demise of rural America. We've seen this story all over the country and even in places beyond the American borders. We know the symptoms. It's the hollowing out of small towns. It's downtowns becoming ghost towns. The brain drain, where all of the most educated and qualified leave and never come back. It's the dependence on farm subsidies and underperforming schools and higher poverty rates in rural areas than in urban. And Bertie County is no exception to this. Perhaps the biggest thing that it struggles with, like many communities similar to it, is that there's no shared collective investment in the future of rural communities. Only 6.8% of all our philanthropic giving in the U.S. right now benefits rural communities, and yet 20% of our population lives there. Bertie County is not only very rural, it's incredibly poor. It is the poorest county in the state. It has 1 in 3 of its children living in poverty, and it's what is referred to as a rural ghetto. The economy is mostly agricultural. The biggest crops are cotton and tobacco, and we're very proud of our Bertie County peanuts. The biggest employer is the Purdue Chicken Processing Plant. The county seat is Windsor. This is like the Times Square of Windsor that you're looking at right now. It's home to only 2,000 people, and like a lot of other small towns, it has been hollowed out over the years. There are more buildings that are empty or in disrepair than occupied and in use. You can count the number of restaurants in the county on one hand, Buns Barbecue being my absolute favorite. But in the whole county, there's no coffee shop, there's no internet cafe, there's no movie theater, there's no bookstore, there isn't even a Walmart. Racially, the county is about 60% African American, but what happens in the public schools is most of the privileged white kids go to the private Lawrence Academy. So the public schools students are about 86% African American, and this is a spread from the local newspaper of the recent graduating class, and you can see the difference is pretty stark. So to say that the public education system in Bertie County is struggling would be a huge understatement. There is basically no pool of qualified teachers to pull from, and only 8% of the people in the county have a bachelor's degree or higher, so there isn't a big legacy in the pride of education. In fact, 2 years ago, only 27% of all the 3rd through 8th graders were passing the state standard in both English and math. So it sounds like I'm painting a really bleak picture of this place, but I promise there is good news. The biggest asset, in my opinion, one of the biggest assets in Bertie County right now is this man. This is Dr. Chip Zollinger, fondly known as Dr. Z.
I'm going to stop it. Christine said she can't hear us or the video. But can you chat, Christine, on the chat box? She hasn't managed to hear the discussions earlier. We could hear her. She's in the room, Alice, that's the thing. And look, Mr. Connor. It's saying on here that she can. Yeah.
Christine says she doesn't know the reason she even used Chrome this time.
Whoa. She got in the last time though, didn't she? Can somebody, if somebody's in touch, can she just chat along the board? Because you can still use the chat. Yeah. Aye, she's on the participant list, Alice, I can see her. She's on mine, right at the bottom.
Yeah, if you communicate with her via the chat box, Peter, she can see that.
Right, okay. Right, what we'll do is we'll watch this video. So and I'll sort something out. We'll have to move out of this. I'm recording this, so. So if you guys watch the video, what I'll do is I'll go in and set up a Teams invite and we'll switch to Teams.
He was brought in October 2007 as the new superintendent to basically fix this broken school system. And he previously was superintendent in Charleston, South Carolina, and then in Denver, Colorado. He started some of the country's first charter schools in the late 80s in the U.S. And he is an absolute renegade and a visionary, and he is the reason that I now live and work there. So in February 2009, Dr. Zollinger invited us, Project H Design, which is a nonprofit design firm that I founded, to come to Bertie and to partner with him on the repair of this school district and to bring a design perspective to the repair of the school district. And he invited us in particular because we have a very specific type of design process, one that results in appropriate design solutions in places that don't usually have access to design services or creative capital. Specifically, we use these 6 design directives, probably the most important being number 2, we design with, not for, in that when we're doing humanitarian focused design, it's not about designing for clients anymore, it's about designing with people and letting appropriate solutions emerge from within. So at the time of being invited down there, we were based in San Francisco, and so we were going back and forth for basically the rest of 2009, spending about half our time in Bertie County. And when I say we, I mean Project H, but more specifically, I mean myself and my partner, Matthew Miller, who's an architect and a sort of MacGyver-type builder. So fast forward to today, and we now live there. I have strategically cut Matt's head out of this photo because he would kill me if he knew I was using it because of the sweatsuits. But this is our front porch. We live there. We now call this place home. Over the course of this year that we spent flying back and forth, we realized we had fallen in love with the place. We had fallen in love with the place and the people and the work that we're able to do in a rural place like Bertie County that as designers and builders, you can't do everywhere. There's space to experiment and to weld and to test things. We have an amazing advocate in Dr. Zollinger. There's a nobility of real hands-on, dirt under your fingernails work. But beyond our personal reasons for wanting to be there, there's a huge need. There is a total vacuum of creative capital in Bertie County. There isn't a single licensed architect in the whole county. And so we saw an opportunity to bring design as this untouched tool, something that Bertie County didn't otherwise have, and to be sort of to usher that in as a new type of tool in their toolkit. The initial goal became using design within the public education system in partnership with Dr. Zollinger. That was why we were there. But beyond that, we recognized that Bertie County as a community was in dire need of a fresh perspective of pride and connectedness and of the creative capital that they were so much lacking. So the goal became, yes, to apply design within education, but then to figure out how to make education a great vehicle for community development. So in order to do this, we've taken 3 different approaches to the intersection of design and education. And I should say that these are 3 things that we've done in Bertie County, but I feel pretty confident that they could work in a lot of other rural communities around the U.S. and maybe even beyond. So the first of the 3 is design for education. This is the most kind of direct, obvious intersection of the 2 things. It's the physical construction of improved spaces and materials and experiences for teachers and students. This is in response to the awful, mobile trailers and the outdated textbooks and the terrible materials that we're building schools out of these days. And so this played out for us in a couple different ways. The first was a series of renovations of computer labs. So traditionally, the computer labs, particularly in an underperforming school like Bertie County, where they have to benchmark test every other week, the computer lab is a kill and drill testing facility. You come in, you face the wall, you take your test, and you leave. So we wanted to change the way that students approach technology to create a more sort of convivial and social space that was more engaging, more accessible, and also to increase the ability for teachers to use these spaces for technology-based instruction. So this is the lab at the high school, and the principal there is like in love with this room. Every time he has visitors, it's the first place that he takes them. And this also meant the co-creation with some teachers of this educational playground system called the Learning Landscape. It allows elementary level students to learn core subjects through gameplay and activity and running around and screaming and being a kid. So this game that the kids are playing here, in this case, they were learning basic multiplication through a game called Match Me. And in Match Me, you take the class divided into 2 teams, 1 team on each side of the playground, and the teacher will take a piece of chalk and just write a number on each of the tires. And then she'll call out a math problem. So let's say 4 times 4. And then 1 student from each team has to compete to figure out the 4 times 4 is 16 and find the tire with the 16 on it and sit on it. So the goal is to have all of your teammates sitting on the tires and then your team wins. And the impact of the learning landscape has been pretty surprising and amazing. Some of the classes and teachers have reported higher test scores, a greater comfort level with the material, especially with the boys, that in going outside and playing, they aren't afraid to take on, a double-digit multiplication problem. And also that the teachers are able to use these as assessment tools to better gauge how their students are understanding new material. So with Design for Education, I think the most important thing is to have a shared ownership of the solutions with the teachers so that they have the incentive and the desire to use them. So this is Mr. Perry, he's the assistant superintendent, who came out for one of our teacher training days and won like 5 rounds of Match Me in a row and was very proud of himself. So the second approach is redesigning education itself. This is the most complex. It's a systems level look at how education is administered and what is being offered and to whom. So in many cases, this is not so much about making change as it is creating the conditions under which change is possible, and the incentive to want to make change, which is easier said than done in rural communities and in inside the box education systems in rural communities. So for us, this was a graphic public campaign called Connect Bertie. There are thousands of these blue dots all over the county. And this was for a fund that the school district had to put a desktop computer and a broadband internet connection in every home with a child in the public school system. Right now, I should say, there are only 10% of the houses that actually have an in-home internet connection. And the only places to get Wi-Fi are in the school buildings or at the Bojangles fried chicken joint, which I find myself squatting outside of a lot. Aside from getting people excited and wondering what the heck these blue dots were all over the place, it asked the school system to envision how it might become a catalyst for a more connected community. It asked them to reach outside of the school walls and to think about how they could play a role in the community's development. So the first batch of computers are being installed later this summer. We're helping Dr. Zollinger develop some strategies around how we might connect the classroom and the home to extend learning beyond the school day. And then the third approach, which is what I'm most excited about, which is where we are now, is design as education. So design as education means that we could actually teach design within public schools, and not design-based learning, not like let's learn physics by building a rocket, but actually learning design thinking coupled with real construction and fabrication skills put towards a local community purpose. It also means that designers are no longer consultants, but we're teachers, and we are charged with growing creative capital within the next generation. What design offers as an educational framework is an antidote to all of the boring, rigid, verbal instruction that so many of these school districts are plagued by. It's hands-on, it's in your face, it requires an active engagement, and it allows kids to apply all the core subject learning in real ways. So we started thinking about, the legacy of shop class and how shop class, wood and metal shop class in particular, historically has been something intended for kids who aren't going to go to college. It's a vocational training path. It's working class, it's blue collar. The projects are things like, let's make a birdhouse for your mom for Christmas. And in recent decades, a lot of the funding for shop class has gone away entirely. So we thought, what if you could bring back shop class, but this time orient the projects around things that the community needed, and infuse shop class with a more critical and creative design thinking studio process. So we took this kind of nebulous idea and have worked really closely with Dr. Zollinger for the past year on writing this as a one-year curriculum offered at the high school level to the junior class. And so this starts in 4 weeks and at the end of the summer. And my partner and I, Matthew, and I just went through the arduous and totally convoluted process of getting certified as high school teachers to actually run it. And this is what it looks like. So over the course of 2 semesters, the fall and the spring, the students spend 3 hours a day, every single day, in our 4,500 square foot studio/shop space. And during that time, they're doing everything from going out and doing ethnographic research and doing the need finding, coming back into the studio, doing the brainstorming and design visualization to come up with concepts that might work, and then moving into the shop and actually testing them, building them, prototyping them, figuring out if they are going to work and refining that. And then over the summer, they're offered a summer job. They're paid as employees of Project H to be the construction crew with us to build these projects in the community. So the first project, which will be built next summer, is an open-air farmers market downtown, followed by bus shelters for the school bus system in the second year and home improvements for the elderly in the third year. So these are real visible projects that hopefully the students can point to and say, I built that and I'm proud of it. So I want you to meet 3 of our students. This is Ryan. She is 15 years old. She loves agriculture and wants to be a high school teacher. She wants to go to college, but she wants to come back to Bertie County because that's where her family is from, where she calls home, and she feels very strongly about giving back to this place that she's been fairly fortunate in. So what Studio H might offer her is a way to develop skills so that she might give back in the most meaningful way. This is Eric. He plays for the football team. He is really into dirt bike racing, and he wants to be an architect. So for him, Studio H offers him a way to develop the skills that he will need as an architect, everything from drafting to wood and metal construction to how to do research for a client. And then this is Anthony. He is 16 years old, loves hunting and fishing and being outside and doing anything with his hands. And so for him, Studio H means that he can stay interested in his education through that hands-on engagement. He's interested in forestry, but he isn't sure. So if he ends up not going to college, he will have developed some industry-relevant skills. What design and building really offers to public education is a different kind of classroom. So this building downtown, which may very well become the site of our future farmers market, is now the classroom. And going out into the community and interviewing your neighbors about what kind of food they buy and from where and why, that's a homework assignment. And the ribbon cutting ceremony at the end of the summer when they have built the farmers market and it's open to the public, that's the final exam. And for the community, what design and building offers is real, visible, built progress. It's one project per year. And it makes the youth the biggest asset and the biggest untapped resource in imagining a new future. So we recognize that Studio H, especially in its first year, is a small story. 13 students, it's 2 teachers, it's one project in one place. But we feel like this could work in other places. And I really strongly believe in the power of the small story because it is so difficult to do humanitarian work at a global scale because when you zoom out that far, you lose the ability to view people as humans. Ultimately, design itself is a process of constant education for the people that we work with and for us as designers. And let's face it, designers, we need to reinvent ourselves. We need to re-educate ourselves around the things that matter. We need to work outside of our comfort zones more, and we need to be better citizens in our own backyard. So while this is a very small story, we hope that it represents a step in the right direction for the future of rural communities, for the future of public education, and hopefully also for the future of design. Thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to take 5 minutes and switch across. I've given everybody a team invite and give you 5 minutes to switch across and come into teams and we'll finish off in teams. Is that okay for everyone? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so come back. So just going through the invite. Sent everybody. Sandy, you've got it too. So we'll see everybody in 5 minutes, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Cheers.
Thank you.